Right, it's time for a homebrew Wednesday. It's being recorded on a Wednesday, but it probably won't go out on a Wednesday. I've got a few other things to do. I've just reviewed a new home brewing magazine, or beer magazine kind of thing. Touches on sort of kind of everything, which is quite good considering there's kind of not been much competition in this country apart from one other magazine. So it was exciting to get a hold of that, and I've done a little review and posted it up. I've picked up another tea infuser, another little one like I had before. This one's even more better constructed. It's got like a mesh bottom, but the side bits where it's got drilled out kind of steel metal and then a mesh on the inside. It's really, really sturdy. I mean, I don't think it would ever kind of bend with any force on it. It's really well done. Was considering even capping that and then taking the handle off and using that as a dry hopping chamber maybe, but using them in the little boil pans when I'm making up kind of mini batches and sort of doing kits and that, they work really well. It holds the pellets in there excellent. But I have also purchased a much larger one which goes in a British Army tea infuser, or like tea urn kind of thing, and then the tea basket went in the middle and held all the tea leaves in. So it's actually quite a lot bigger. So if you've got the little one there, you can see size wise. Now I'm thinking with this, what I might do, it's got a little handle there, I might even drill out on the three sides and have that as a stainless steel hop spider in my big boil pot, because the mesh is just as fine on the other one, and this was a steal for the money it was compared to the ones that you can get imported over from America price wise, just because I think the stainless steel mesh, the 300, I can't remember the grading, is so expensive, and this was just like already fit for the purpose out something else. It's ideal. So I'm not sure, I might use it for that, or I might even get another one, but I'm either going to fix the three crossbars over it, or even get someone to just sort of weld a little kind of bracket on there so it sits at the side of the pot, and I can still get the immersion chiller in there as well while it's in there. Or I might even use it for when I'm also straining out the my brain's gone, my malt and whatnot when I'm doing the mash. Or what I did think is it's almost like you could do like a mini brew in the bag brew system with this. You could kind of make your own kind of grain father from it. This would be like the malt pipe you get in a Braumeister. But I don't know, I'm not that technically minded, and I've got the patience to do it, but that is an exciting piece of equipment. I can't wait to see how that pans out. I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of people reviewing one. I know Time for another one is going to be getting his hands on one and doing a review on one. I can't wait to see that. He's the man for the job to review something like that with a system as good as his. He knows these things. But I'm still in two minds. I've kind of reached a point where with all my kind of brewing equipment and the time constraints I have, and and the space, that it's either going to be that or a Braumeister in the next kind of year. I'm kind of going to start saving for it and get one, just because I know a lot of people kind of slag them off and they say it takes the fun out of brewing and that, but I kind of tend to disagree. It still seems very hands-on. It's not like you're just gonna add the stuff and set it and forget. You still got to kind of get your hands dirty as it is. But I don't know. I think it gives you sort of, if anything, it gives you consistency. Once you've got your recipe, it's going to allow you to kind of replicate it a lot easier. And for me, it's space. It's not about sort of making it easier. It's kind of making life easier with the space you've got. I mean, if it's all contained in one system and it makes it more stress-free on brew day, I'm more likely to brew more than having to get all my equipment down from the loft, all these different pots and pans. If I can have one system, get it on, I could even set it up the night before, it's going to be perfect. So I'm swaying towards that way kind of thing, and I think it'd allow me more chance to focus on other things like kind of water treatments and whatnot, because I wouldn't be sort of hassling over mash tuns and and whatnot, and making sure they're still right, and anyway, So that's that. I also got another piece of equipment, and that is, and it ties in nicely with, I see on GI Fryer's Facebook page, he had from the same company, Fast Rack, they've got a plastic conical system, and Norfolk Hillbillies messaged them and they said that they're going to be coming over here, and it's quite a unique system. It's got like a bracket, you can fix it to the wall. And I thought the best part about it was it had this little plastic ball on the bottom, and once all the yeast is collected in there, you can literally unscrew that ball and you've got your yeast, and you can put, they say you can put another ball on and then do secondary, but I would probably just take the yeast off and then bottle from that anyway. But it allows you to keep that yeast in that little bottle that you took off, and then you've got the yeast in this kind of little vial that you took off from the conical base, and then you've harvested it for the next one. I think that's a kind of quite a niche product. I know other like conicals have got the way to sort of rack it off, but if you've already got it self-contained in a little bottle, I think that's quite a clever thing. Anyway, from the same people, this was their first product they ever bought out, was the actual Fast Rack, the drying system. I've yet to test it out, and I'm going to do a little review of it. But basically all your bottles go in there, and then you can stack them and then stack another one on, and then once they're done you can put a box over the top of that, flip that over, and all your boxes are in there. Obviously you've got to allow, if you're using little bottles, you can get a lot more in there. If they're bigger, you're going to have to space them out a bit more. And then at the bottom you've got like a little tray which collects all the excess star san or whatever, and you can also use it on their website. They show you used at a party, so you could have one of these set out, or two of them, say to everyone, once you finish with your beer, turn it upside down in this thing, it would collect all the, you know, the nasty bits from the bottom of the bottle, and then you've got, you know, all your bottles kind of already pre-drained and sort of ready to sort of just wash out or rinse out the next day, rather than gathering that little bit at the bottom that can go a bit, you know, a bit stubborn and solid overnight. So I'm going to do a review of that in the next couple of days. Seems like a real sound piece of equipment, really solid. I do love the bottling tree, but that I think is kind of quite good for using in flats and whatnot. It's quite a small footprint, and when it's not in use, it's even smaller. What else? I'm going to do a brew at the weekend. I've got a couple of kits to use. Got a Young's Harvest bitter. I've got to admit, I'm not liking some of my old kits that I've been sort of digging out of. You know, some old Cooper's ones. They're not too bad, but some of the real old kits, I'm just finding that when I first started doing kits, I loved all my kits. Then I went round to Hammerphone Brews doing all grain, and I couldn't taste the kit twang or whatever people call it. But more and more recently, sort of all my kits, I'm just getting this taste that I think, yeah, I can taste that taste now. The taste that you don't get when you do all grain. I think it's something to do with the manufacturing process, or I don't know. You can hide it in a hoppy beer, but in a bitter or a stout, unless it's got other adjuncts in there that hide and mask that flavour, a kit beer will always taste like a kit beer. It's sad to say. An extract beer, when you kind of get more malt in there and that, they tend to be a lot better, but just out of the tin, I don't think it's anything to do with the fact that it comes in a tin. That's what people used to say, because I've had ones that have come in the bags and they've got that same twang. It's something to do with the way that malt's preserved, or, you know, so they've got long shelf lives, a lot of them. I just think there's something in there that's just not right, and you can detect it. And I think you detect it more when you start doing all grain, because you've got something to compare it to. Before you've got something to compare it to, it's like the best thing since sliced bread. It's still good, don't get me wrong, but once you've got sort of like that little bit higher, you kind of think, oh, it's just not quite as good. And then, you know, by then you will be adding stuff to your beers, you know, to kind of tweak them and make them better, and that's what will be masking it. You'll be changing the yeast out and whatnot. But I had, you know, a couple of, I think, a Cooper's lager. I mean, even Brewmaster Ben said that he thinks that possibly even sometimes it's the Cooper's yeast that adds like a little bit of an off tang to it. Because I had a Cooper's lager, the yeast that came with it, you know, it's been in the bottle for over a year, but it's got this taste that other kits have got when I've had them and just done them as normal. And then when you do ones that have got the hops, or you've changed the yeast, I think it does a lot, you know, it hides the sins that are there. you know, that's the downfall of some of the more basic kits. But I've got a basic bit to do, which was only like £3. I've got quite a few hops kicking around that I plan to hop it out with. I'm going to do a little bit of experiment on it because I've got a little corny keg to fill up, and I'm also going to experiment with not carbonating a couple of bottles. I had a little bit of grief with some of my older kits where the bottles are kind of over carbonated, but they seem to have carbonated more the longer they've been in the bottle, because they kind of, I don't know, it's like they were good after about 6 months, and then after 9, they just seem like real crazy. They've just gone silly carbonation where they haven't been over primed, but it's just almost like they've, I don't know, there's something not right with them. So I read somewhere on a forum the other day that a chap says that he likes a very kind of gentle carbonation, almost like a, you know, straight off the hand pull kind of thing. So I thought that I would, and he said as well, uncarbonated, left long enough, they'll get a nice sort of gentle carbonation. So I'm going to do like a little couple of tests and sort of leave a few bottles, you know, not add any priming sugar, leave them for a few weeks, see how they go, and you know, see what it's like with not adding the extra priming sugar, and you know, see if it helps. And then you won't have extra kind of sediment in the bottom of the bottle, I would have thought as well, because there wouldn't be much else to drop out. And I'm going to rack some beer into the corny keg, but I'm going to rack that onto priming sugar and let it carbonate naturally, and then force it out with a little CO2 bulb. I've seen someone else do that. I just want to see what it's like done like that, and then I'm going to actually do another keg full of actual carbonated, and then force it out through that, and then I'm going to get to work on my little setup for the flat, so I can have a CO2 and a keg setup here. Then after that I plan to do another cube beer, no chill. I've got one that's still conditioning in the bottles. Didn't come out as hoppy as I liked. All that sulphur smell went in the end. I think part of that, a lot of the problem might have been, I don't know, there might have been a lot of contributory factors for not boiling long enough. I think a 15-minute boil and a no chill is a big mistake. I think for, you know, it's just the lower limit you can do. It's just almost not worth it. I think I'm going to stick to half-hour boil, no chill, because I know Ant Rogerson's done it with great success. I think anything less than half an hour, it's wasting your time. The only time it did work was when I did the Motica or Mochuaca, smash that Tube Dinos did, but that was a 15-minute boil, but it was cooled down with the chiller. So I think that helped kind of get rid of any DMS or off flavours that would have been kicking around. But I think when you do a 15-minute boil and you don't chill it, you run into problems. I think that's, you know, that was a mistake, but at least it's proved, you know, that you shouldn't do that. So I think that's about it for me. So till next time.